Hi, Brian, Nico, Dustin, and Mike. It's Julie Benz from Dexter. So first of all, I want to say thank you for being a fan of the show. And so thank you so much for watching and being a fan of Rita's and of mine. I'm so excited to have been a part of a show that many years later people are still watching and talking about and, doing prequels to. And don't go out there. Okay? Just don't go out there. Just don't do it. All right? And yeah. All right. Bye.
They've conquered the big screen. Now, get ready for the spin-off sure to send chills down your spine. It's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin in Don't Go Out There, the series.
Welcome back, everybody, to DGOT, the series. We really appreciate y'all listening. We hope y'all have been enjoying these series reviews. I know we have. It's been a lot of fun. Just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network, so there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We will be concluding season 1 of Dexter, Dustin's pick. Dustin, this was your pick. Why don't you just give us your general thoughts on episode 11?
Yeah, man. Episode 11 and 12, I think, tie a nice bow on the season. They kind of ramped it up throughout the season. Like each episode, you got more and more ingrained in the story, and it really dug its hooks into you. And the finish is just great because, like we mentioned last week, the great thing about Dexter is one thing they're going to do is make you want to watch that next season. And so it's a good way to end this one. You're like, oh, shit, what's going to happen next? Yeah. And I think that's how seasons should end. Seasons should want you to tolerate that long break between seasons and be like, okay, I got to watch it. So I thought they were both awesome.
Brian, you want to go next?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say. Just remarkable 2 episodes. And, just the ending to the season I thought was fantastic. Obviously it was because it sparked me to watch 7 more seasons of it almost immediately. And if anybody has a way that I can watch New Blood, definitely don't hit me up on Twitter or Instagram on @BHath4. Definitely don't do that. But yeah, elite episodes. I'm probably going to be right in assuming that we're all 3 in agreement on that.
Yes. 11 and 12, very good. I'll just be quick because it's 10 o'clock and I'm tired. Let's jump into it. I'm doing the scene by scene. Lord bear me strength. I just stole one of Dustin's lines, but here we go. The show starts with Dexter narrating on feeling like he's in hell, reliving his mother's death in his mind over and over as he walks to the crime scene where Batista got stabbed. Deb checks on him as he's spaced out. Deb and Masuka are both distraught, and Masuka asks Dexter's thoughts on Batista's encounter. The Latina with the prosthetic hand meets with Rudy, and we see them in bed together. Rudy is drawing lines on the back of her body saying her stump saved her last time. The vibes are getting weird, and Rudy puts her in a headlock that causes her to go unconscious. He carries her down to his freezer as Deb calls him, leaving a voicemail. Dexter tells Rita he can't come over, but she's stressed over not telling the kids about their father yet. LaGuerta gives the staff an update on Batista. He's injured and bled out a lot, but we'll be all right. Dokes notices Dexter's odd behavior and chases after him. He wonders if Dexter feels anything. Take your fucking hand off me as Dexter storms away. Rudy is making all the woman's cut-up pieces look like Christmas gifts as he gets an alert Deb's outside. He lets her inside and asks her to warm him up. He asks about the effect Batista's situation is having and suggests getting out of town for the weekend. He wants to talk to her about something big. Rudy offers her some Valium to help her sleep in his loving arms, of course. Deb is slumped in the bed as Rudy stands over her watching. Dexter meets Camilla, making small talk, then asking for the records of the crime scene where Harry found them. She doesn't have those files. They're all downtown at City Hall. He asks her if she remembers anything. She says his father was loving and not to keep your lieutenant waiting. Dokes and Deb interview 2 elves about the body found at as Dexter arrives. LaGuerta informs him of the body, and they find more 103 clues. Ho, 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 another dead ho, Masuka says. He also continues flirting with Deb, to which he gets shot down. Dexter thinks the ice truck killer was rushed doing this kill. Dexter finds a VHS tape. Merry Christmas, Miami. All right, Brian, that's the first set of scenes. What'd you think?
So Keith Gordon makes a series debut directing this episode. He will be back for 9 more episodes over 5 more seasons, but this is his first crack at it. And can I say, this opening camera shot that opens this it's Dexter gives us his inner monologue speech about, hell through some narrow walkways or whatever, the crime scene. It's just fucking brilliant looking visually. The red hue and just how he's moving, but yet not moving. I don't know. That shit was just big time standout to me. Fantastic work. During that monologue, Dexter calls his darkness his dark passenger for what I believe is the first time in the series. I may be mistaken on that, but it doesn't sound like
right.
Dustin's reiterating that. But he uses it for the rest of the series, and hot take, I'm not a fan. Like something like The Darkness even, or I don't know, just something like that would have worked better for me than Dark Passenger, especially throughout the series when he's talking about it or whatever. It just kind of seems cheesy. Like sounds like something that is better on paper, like, the book or something than on screen. But again, maybe that's a hot take. I don't know, but it's mine. I was, however, a huge fan of Masuka being serious and not cracking a joke here on Batista's crime scene. I felt like that was super appropriate and really did a good job of letting you know the gravitas of the situation. It was almost like, oh shit, okay, Masuka isn't even joking around. Like, this shit is serious. And I will say too, the shit with Dokes here, like especially at the hospital, felt forced. Like, I mean, Dexter was there, even if he wasn't, a killer and just was there. He left after he found out good news. Maybe the guy isn't just good in social situations. Like, fuck you, Dokes. And it was just a weird ass confrontation. I loved Dexter, though, for finally having enough and telling him to get his fucking hand off of him. Attaboy, Dex. Question for y'all, though. Now that you know Rudy is the killer and get to see Rudy talking to himself and murdering the hooker, does that make him any less, I don't want to say scary, but intimidating? Like does it take away anything for y'all? I mean, before, it's like we've talked about many times. It's like the unknown and just this evil. But does Rudy live up to that now that you know?
I think so.
Yeah,
you do. Like to me, and I don't want to say too much, but there's a bad guy in season 4 where he absolutely lives up to it once you know. I can't make up my mind about Rudy. He was, especially after seeing season 4 and to compare the two, that was a little bit of a letdown, I guess, watching this again and being like, Rudy doesn't seem like that bad. Or, I mean, he doesn't seem like that sinister and dark and evil. But anyway.
That's fair.
I guess to me, the most sinister part of Rudy that comes across is the relationship with Deb and that whole thing. Like, not necessarily him, if that makes any sense. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I too, Ryan, I love the way the opening shot. Great way to portray how Dexter's mindset is, and great job tying everything together with his dark passenger, a.k.a. his trauma. I also like Dexter asking himself, what's happening to me? Because he's been such a sociopath for so long, and blood didn't matter at all to him at the beginning of the season, especially. But it's just great character development. Rudy meeting up with the amputee hooker is tense, especially when we see him, making lines on her body, or drawing lines on her body where he's going to cut her up. And he wastes no time choking her out. Solid pacing so far. Good Harry Angel's going to be okay. Pretty sure he's all of our favorite characters. Love that guy. I loved it when Dexter told bitch-ass Dokes to take his fucking hand off him. God, I hate Dokes. Great tension when Deb showed up at Rudy's. He's got her, that severed head sitting there, and she even notices how cold he is. So it's tense, but he smooth talks his way out of it, out of her finding anything out. good stuff with Dexter and Dewey Cox's mom when he asked for the file there. She clearly wants to protect Dexter from his past, and I think their dynamic's really well done. And then the scene at the next crime scene is very solid. Dokes is being a dick, Masuka is being a horn dog, and the clock stopped at 1:03. Just good shit. It's very consistent. And a funny line from Deb saying the last thing she wants for Christmas is a burning sensation when she pees. I laughed. It's a very good open.
Captain avoids the media and joins the detectives watching the tape. The lady on TV is crying, saying they got the wrong guy, and Deb notices the woman is hung upside down. They turn the tape off when we hear a knife slit. Captain takes LaGuerta off the case and puts Dokes in charge. LaGuerta is hoping to become his successor. Rita hands lunch out to the kids, and they both confess they miss their dad. Rita tells him about Dad being back in jail, and Cody tells her it's all her fault. Damn, I wrote. Dexter joins Deb for tacos, but is distant like always. She wants to chat about Rudy. He's been acting weird and wants Dexter to talk to him. Deb leaves for work, and Dexter asks Rudy about his lip. Rudy changes his story on the injury and asks about this lunch. He tells him he could see being with her forever, and Dexter says she's falling for him hard. Batista awakes hearing Nina and LaGuerta chatting. Nina leaves to get the doctor, and he asks LaGuerta if they captured the guy. No, and he didn't see anything. He asks about Nina being here. She was the first one here. Dexter's doing lab work narrating on his mother. He shows LaGuerta a bloodstain on the back of the collar, and he's sending it over to the lab to run against other DNA. Dokes and Deb notice the size of the refrigeration unit, and Deb thinks it's residential. Deb and Dokes do some good cop work and figure out a plan to catch the perpetrator. Deb stops Dexter, showing him the text. He misspelled cum. I thought that was funny. Dexter walks away as Deb's mind races. Dexter tells her he wants to be a part of the family. She calms down and becomes excited now. Dexter's at the library doing research on 103, a shipping yard massacre. Laura Moser, Dexter's mother, was involved. Dexter's at Camilla's house and furious all the reports from that case are gone. She tells him the file doesn't exist. It was destroyed the day the adoption went through to protect you. What he saw in that cargo container changed him. Rita calls Dexter that Cody's run away. Dexter tells Camilla he needs to know the truth, and she says to leave this alone. All right, Bryson, next set of scenes, what do you think?
So you brought up Dewey Cox's mom. Is this the first episode that we've seen Margot Martindale as Camilla down in records? I can't remember.
No, she was there in like episode 1 or 2, like very early on, but we haven't seen her since then.
Oh, okay. I got you. I don't remember talking about her being in Cocaine Bear recently that I've seen, but previously on the show in Orphan. But like you said, I remember her the most as Ma Cox. She's such a legend.
Always, yeah.
Still kicking in her 70s as of 2024, by the way. But right now in this set of scenes, it's just really hard for me to even take notes. You know, I've seen this entire season before, but it's hard to not be completely locked in here with the story playing out the way that it is. I mean, and also here's another little actually for your guys. Deb says the hooker was to meet a client at the corner of Coral Way and Biscayne Boulevard. However, these two streets never cross. Also, the map the cops are referring to shows the city of Coral Gables, not the Brickell area south of downtown Miami. So there you go. And I will say that I'm just, like I said, 100% locked in on the Ice Truck Killer case, especially knowing that we have just one episode left. So while I do love finding out what happened and what the flashbacks mean, and I love how it all ties together, but even the first time I watched it, it's almost a nuisance when he's going searching. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to get back to the Ice Truck Killer case.
It's fair. And talk about humiliation. The captain giving the case to Dokes in front of everyone, that's brutal. It gets worse. Cody telling Rita it's all her fault. It's rough. I mean, yeah, kid. It's your mom's fault your dad's a piece of shit. Talk about victim blaming. Rudy trying to lie to a forensics guy about when an injury to his lip happened. Bold strategy, moron. I like Angel's sense of humor when he wakes up. If I'd have known this would get us in the same room, I'd have gotten stabbed sooner. That's 100% something I would say. Didn't work, though. She left. Man really wants to fix his marriage. He's a good man. It's sad, tough to watch. I really appreciate the grace in which LaGuerta handles being taken off the case. She keeps her cool and just says change is coming. It's very easy to fly off the handle in a situation like that. Then, I don't like to give credit to Deb, but good police work with her telling the department her theories. But then, my God, she's annoying when she stops Dex. I hate her. Her and Dokes both. I really like the montage of Dexter trying to piece together his past with the clues. I love a good montage, and this one's very well done. And so was Dexter's emotions escalating with Camilla. It's a slower set of scenes, but still solid.
Dexter's at Rita's house and she's panicking, thinking they need to be out looking. Aster thinks it's her fault for not hearing him get out of bed. Dexter tells her, I think I know where Cody might be since it's Thursday. They make it to a swing in the park and see the little boy with his head down. Rita tells him he's not coming back for a long time. Dexter and Rita argue about her parenting method and she leaves fuming. Doug says LaGuerta looks happy. She says the board did not look happy until she sees the captain walk in smiling with District. Nina gets mad at Batista for ordering 2 burgers. He says she looks cute, but she's very mad. The two have a serious conversation on their love, relationship, and coming home. Angel wants to fix this, but Nina tells him she'll always care, but the truth is they were miserable and the marriage is over. Captain enters LaGuerta's office. He says all the failures were from a bad command structure. He informs her she's no longer lieutenant. She's furious, thinking her status in the Cuban community will be furious against him until she finds out who her replacement is. He walks out cool as a cucumber, and she threatens him with her union rep and lawyer. Rita meets with Paul in jail, and she wants him to explain why he's in this place. You will never see your kids again, she threatens, if he doesn't explain why he's here. Julie Benz, I think, gives great dialogue, and she offers Paul the chance to be the dad he is, not the one they wish they had. Thought that was a great line.
Yeah.
And she killed those scenes, I thought.
Absolutely. And, kind of like going off of what I said last set of scenes about, with these subplots and me almost wanting to like hit the skip ahead 10 seconds on them. It's not because it's bad, but it was just because I'm like, especially in the Rita, no offense to friend of the show, Julie Benz, but on these, I'm just like, okay, let's go. Ice truck killer. But I will say Paul was a douche, but man, it did pull at my heartstrings with, Cody missing his dad and all the stuff that happens for the story to take a second and say, don't forget how this affects the kids. I'm glad that it does that. I was impressed with that. And I'm glad that it kind of reminds you how Dexter really doesn't know what he's doing in social situations like that either. Because Rita was doing the right thing. I liked how he took a beat there altogether. And then, like you mentioned, the end of the set, when she's visiting Paul in prison, Julie Benz fucking killed it there with her speech to him about being the dad they have instead of the dad they wish they had. Very deep shit there. I love that line as well. And speaking of taking a beat, love everything with Batista in it, like we mentioned. So his hospital scene here was great with the burger. Love how he's like, okay, Juan, save yourself. As Nina walks back in. Little fun fact. The Double Meat Palace is a fictitious fast food restaurant suspected of serving ground-up human murder victims in Buffy the Vampire Slayer in 1997, where Drew Z. Greenberg, who wrote this episode, also worked as a staff writer for Buffy. Fun fact number 2, I used to watch the OG Buffy movie as a little kid, but I've never seen not one episode of the Sarah Michelle Gellar series that's so beloved. So that's crazy, I know. And I know I've given her shit all season, but props to Lauren Velez's LaGuerta. This convo with Captain Fuckface, she acted her ass off there. But my biggest gripe with her isn't because of this season. It's just, like I said before, it feels like they aren't really sure what to do with her after the season. But this little arc with the new lieutenant coming in and her, I'll save it. But I was really proud of her for that one.
First, before I go, you mentioned Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie from 1992. Of course, stars the late, great Donald Sutherland, recently deceased, but also stars David Arquette. So there you go.
Yes, it does.
This kid got out of bed and went to the park and hung out there all day alone in Miami. Not buying that shit. Someone would have snatched his little ass up. But good dynamic with Rita and Dexter. He's right, but she is too. She wants to be a good parent and keep her kids from getting hurt. Definitely get that. Great long-term tension with the captain laughing with the review board. Makes you wonder how things are going to turn out for LaGuerta. Really emotional and tough scene with Angel and his wife. That had to feel like another knife sliding in him. And then, okay, I know y'all hate LaGuerta, but you got to admit, she didn't deserve that shit. The captain's just a straight-up piece of shit, man.
Yeah.
Really good shit from Rita and Paul. Love the character development with her. Like, she continues to grow and get stronger as a mom and as a woman. And her dialogue was really good there, like you said, Nico. It's another slower set of scenes, kind of, but some really good story progression, and I'm excited for the ending.
Yep, here's the end. Dexter checks on Batista, and he asks how things are with he and Rita. Batista tells him alone sucks as he finds teeth marks on the back of his head. Dexter has an epiphany asking if he's met Rudy. Dexter walks out the hospital locked in like a Notre Dame football player play like a champion. Dexter asks Deb about her plans for the night. Dexter leaves thinking his sister is safe for the night until she gets a call from Rudy. Dux tells her to answer the call. She shoots down his weekend plans on the yacht and counters, asking if she can have dinner with him on the yacht. You gotta eat. Dokes rushes her as Dexter arrives at Rudy's apartment. He's wary of the industrial-grade lock and camera outside his door. Dexter is in the dumpster digging through trash and finds a cotton swab with blood on it. Deb makes it to the yacht, and she's blown away by the presentation. She's giddy with excitement when Rudy proposes. She goes from being in a rush to leave to wanting to slow it down and embrace the moment. Rudy says they must have one glass of champagne to celebrate. Dexter tells a lab tech she needs to test these 2 blood samples now. Deb and Rudy share a toast, and he puts something in his mouth and kisses Deb. She notices the cough drop wrapper and is alarmed. Rudy gets behind her and hugs her, asking about the evidence left behind by the ice truck killer. He reveals who he is, and Deb becomes agitated. Rudy puts her in the headlock, and a struggle ensues until Deb inevitably passes out. Masuka shows Dexter the report that the Santa victim was an amputee. Dexter checks on the blood results and asks about his sister. He puts out for dispatch to message Deborah Morgan, but she's out of range. He's trying to call Deb, but no answer again. Rudy is taking the yacht out and sees missed call from Dexter until he chunks the phone into the ocean. All right, Brian, that's the end. What'd you think?
All right, so this is it. This is the moment in the hospital where when Dexter realizes Rudy's ice truck killer, that soundtrack, the way the camera seems to be out of focus all around him as he walks out of the room, you can feel how distraught and disoriented he is about everything. I mean, it was just so well done. But goddamn, and this is the kind of deal. This is kind of the deal with Dexter throughout the series. So, yeah, it bothered me every single time, not just here. But Dexter wanting to do his own investigation. Almost every time, I'm always like, fuck, tell them. Like, tell somebody. Like, to me, it would make your life so much easier in some shit. And you know what? Sometimes I'm right. He should have, admittedly. Sometimes I'm wrong. But here, come on. He should have walked in that police station and just handled it. Rudy's ice truck killer. You know, I'm about to fucking prove it by running this blood comparison. Boom. Like, I mean, I get it. But I'm just telling you how my mind is like working while I'm watching these. But yeah, that's it. Just fantastic ending. You kind of saw it coming, but it didn't make it any less effective, in my opinion.
Yeah, incredible light bulb moment when Angel said he hoped he gave his attacker a fat lip. Like, we're in the shit now. Hell yeah, going to be an exciting finish. I really hate how Deb talks on the phone. She has no awareness about her surroundings. Dokes had to be uncomfortable and annoyed. I was just listening. Got secondhand embarrassment. Great shit with Dexter rummaging through the dumpster to find Rudy's DNA. But I do have questions. When he got there, he noticed the security camera above the door. Would Rudy not have seen him on the fucking security camera? Like, that was kind of weird. He wasn't wearing a mask. Rudy has some nerve, man. Proposing to Deb with a dead hooker's ring. This is setting up for some good drama. Who will get Rudy first, Dexter or the cops? If Rudy disappears, it would be disastrous. If the cops get him, would Rudy rat Dexter out? Great tension built up. All those things running through my mind. Rudy eating the lozenge and then telling Deb who he is. Whew, she's in trouble. Like I said a while back, Deb sure knows how to pick him. I love the camera work when Masuka talks to Dexter, and when he finds out the DNA samples are a match. It's so frantic and desperate. Great shit. Incredible ending and incredible episode.
Y'all guys got any fun facts you want to share?
Fun fact, I gave it a 10.
Fun fact, Dustin gave it a 10.
Fun fact, y'all know Dustin gave it a 10. All right, anywho, let's jump into episode 12, Born Free, the finale of season 1 of Dexter.
Nice.
Dexter narrates about Rudy turning on the light, flooding his memory. Deb doesn't have much time, and I can't think. It's too bright. Moment's too big. He's pissing down his leg. Rudy asks Deb if the tape's too tight, and she panics seeing the tools. She cries out to Jesus and asks if his name is actually Rudy Cooper. Nope, but he died for a good cause. Dexter's at home looking for clues. He goes berserk for a bit, tearing up the couch cushions until music plays. Dexter sees the shipping yard photo, thinking of being born free, as we see Deb being taken away on a small boat. Dokes and LaGuerta ask Batista about Monique, and he was stabbed for a reason. Deb's been AWOL since going to meet Rudy, and the two flee upon this revelation. Dokes and LaGuerta are at Dexter's house, and he says he couldn't find his remote to justify the mess. I thought that was funny. He has no clue where his sister is. Dokes reveals he saw Dexter getting secret labs done, and he reveals the test did match Rudy. Dokes is fuming and storms out. LaGuerta tells him to call if he hears anything. Paul calls Rita and wants to talk about how he was arrested. He doesn't know how he got home and a needle in his arm. He thinks he was set up by Dexter. Dexter isn't who he thinks he is, he tells her. LaGuerta informs the office about Rudy Cooper and Deb missing. Esme Pascal is brought in by the captain, and she asks about the ice truck killer. LaGuerta gives Captain the stink eye as she's furious about the situation. Dexter is at the shipyard looking around for his birthplace. He finds a container and sees Harry carrying his younger self out. Okay, Deb, don't be dead, as he opens the container, but it's only bananas. Surprise, motherfucker, as Doak shows up. He calls him out for not telling his theory to the police department. He swings on Dexter, and the two men fight until a shipyard worker stops them. Both men's phone ring at the same time as we see Rudy driving, and he stops, hearing Deb screaming. He pops the trunk open and covers her mouth back up with tape as we see another dead man in the trunk. All right, Bryce, opening set of scenes. What do you think? Surprise, motherfucker.
French fries, motherfucker. All right, I'm so glad that we don't have to wait any longer for Dexter to figure it out. You know, that we have an entire episode to make it happen and let it all play out. I love that. Also, like I said, last episode we recorded that Michael Suesto was back for his fourth and final run at the director's chair this season. And with that, I love the transition right at the start of the set of scenes where Dexter says he doesn't know where to go. It's too bright. And then we transition using that bright halogen light on the dock. I thought that was great transition there. I did need a little more haste from Dokes and LaGuardia, though, when they basically discovered Rudy could be a suspect. I mean, especially with Deb being missing. They just, I don't know. I needed a more hurry up, little pep in their step there. But when they finally get to Dexter's, man, fuck the way Dokes handled that entire thing. It was so unrealistic to me. It just pissed me off. Now, Lieutenant Pascal makes a hell of an entrance, doesn't she? Judith Scott, she was in the OG Santa Claus movie. Honestly, I can't wait for you to see how that turns out, Nico. Assuming you're going to continue on after this season, or does the season 2 need to be picked first? Have you decided on that?
Probably needs to be picked. Not that it was bad, but I might continue watching. I don't know, man. We do a lot of podcasting now. I'm tired, man.
Quit watching Jason 6. All right, and of course we get the famous surprise. Of course we get the famous surprise, motherfucker. But I mean, he fucking punches Dexter and then gets put in. I don't even know what that was. I yelled at the TV, twist his dick, give him the old dick twist there. But they both get a call and then it cuts away. I kind of wanted to cut to both of them riding together to the call after that. I don't know. It just seemed I would have laughed. It kind of seemed a little cheesy. Go ahead.
All right. Good opening monologue from Dexter about the darkness and whatnot. I don't know how the hell Dexter's mind works, though. Him piecing together those clues, that was confusing as hell. Like, how do you get there? Then Dokes and LaGuardia meeting with Angel. So now the cops definitely are on to Rudy, and so is Dexter. The race is on. Who's going to get him first? Then when they meet Dexter at his apartment, I'm going to side with Dokes a little here. I know it's a shocker, but he's right that they should have been made aware. But from Dexter's perspective, he wanted to find him first, so I get it. Funny hearing Paul be 100% right about Dexter and what happened, but her not believing him. Like, why would she? Paul's a piece of shit, and Dexter has been the perfect boyfriend to her. Right. And man, fuck Pascal. I hate when new bosses try to assert dominance immediately. Like, if you have to show that you're a boss, then you're not a boss at all. I hate bosses like that. Pretty unbelievable to me that Dexter was able to get to the shipping guard without being noticed. Like, it's broad daylight. Come on. No one saw him sneaking around. And surprise, right. Motherfucker. School supplies, motherfucker. Great tension in the scene with Dexter and Dokes there. Dokes is justified in his suspension now. Or his suspicion now. Hell of an opening.
Yeah. Well, he needed a suspension, too, for punching his ass. All rise, motherfucker. True. I love it.
I think at the end of the episode... At the end of the episode, Dustin, let's just do that for like as long as we can. All right. Dexter makes it to Rudy's apartment and they find his crime lab. Masuka says he was right. He did rush on the Santa kill. Dexter tells evidence to take pictures of everything in original form. Bob Hicks, Paul's narcotic anonymous sponsor, shows up to Rita's and tells her about the proof of his x-rays. He had no fracture after the baseball bat incident, but he did have a fracture this time. It took skill. Rita storms away saying it's none of his goddamn business. Dexter tells him Rudy's not his real name, and LaGuardia tells Dokes the beef between the two stops now. Dexter believes Rudy is taking him back home after seeing the doll and record player. Rudy leg sweeps Deb, knocking her to the floor. He injects her in the neck as Dexter does research on his mother. Dexter asks Rita what she's doing here. He storms away from her saying, "It's Deb, and it's very serious. I can't worry about you two taking the elevator." The nurse gives a psych patient in Batista's room medicine to shut him up, and he's told they fingerprint everyone at County. He calls ID Tech and tells them to run Rudy Cooper's prints against mental institute's patients. Dexter makes it to Laura Moser's house, reliving some childhood moments. He now sees about having a brother as Rudy comes outside asking if he remembers now. Rudy tells him he has a real brother, not that foster bullshit. 2 days sitting in blood before they found us. Dexter was young enough to block it out. Dexter calls out for Deb, and Rudy wants to sit down and have a beer. Dexter has another flashback until needle to the neck, and he passes out fast as fuck, boy.
All right, first of all, Rudy must have been making some fucking Dustin Franklin money because his place is gigantic. What? Masuka. Listen, Masuka with the I could have think of 100 uses for this table, if you know what I mean. I died, and that was great. And damn, Dexter, his convo with Rita. Like, you could have just said, Rita, Deb's been kidnapped, gotta go. Like, probably wouldn't have went with the, yeah, it's serious. I can't worry about you two right now. Cold-hearted, brother. He's just cold-hearted. Batista telling the psych patient in his room to shut the fuck up cracked me up, too. I loved him getting the clue, too. Like I've said before, the more Batista's involved, the more I love the story. And yeah, so we get this great revelation that his real name is Brian. Great name, spelled wrong. But it's one to just have the two cross paths and for Rudy / Brian to know about Dexter and put all this together. But it's really some great writing to now throw in the brother angle here and have it all intertwined with what we've already seen with Dexter struggling with the flashbacks. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, great line from Dexter when Masuka said hypothermia can sneak up on you, and he quit back, so can hypochondria. I laughed. That was good. Oh shit moment when Paul's sponsor told Rita about his fractured skull, but luckily she shut that shit down. I did laugh when she said Dexter spends all his time in a laboratory. Shout out to DD. I don't really buy Rudy not telling Deb about Dexter. Like, he's got her. It seems like he'd tell her, especially if he planned on killing her. Yeah. I'm also glad the annoying-ass hospital patient Angel had to room with served a purpose. Good way to utilize a character just to justify a leap in storyline development. The flashback at Dexter's childhood home is insane. Finding out Rudy is Dexter's brother is mind-blowing, and it makes the cat and mouse game make so much more sense. I really like how his flashbacks are shot, too. Like the room transforming when he walks in. Just good shit. I'm highly invested in this finale.
Yep. Batista enters the office with Rudy's prints being matched to Brian Moser. Lieutenant tells him Deb's phone was tracked offshore. LaGuerta goes into her office and the two ladies converse. She reveals she was hired to not make LaGuerta's life easy, and she reveals the captain doesn't know her well either. Rudy and Dexter, who is bound to the chair, have a beer at the table. It's revealed Rudy was never put up for adoption. He was locked up. Harry wanted Dexter all for himself. Mom always wanted me to take care of you, and imagine how I felt realizing you were just like me. He grabs his hand saying, you can be your real, genuine self with me, Dexter. He sees a flashback of them as kids and holds his hand. He slides a knife to Dexter saying, we're ready for Deborah. He takes Dexter out to the garage saying, I prepared her just the way you like. This time we'll do it together. Does it have to be Deb? It's the only way. Your victims, are they all killers? Dexter tells him about the code and asks if all of his victims are murderers. Rudy gets angry, saying he doesn't have a code. Harry did. I don't know who I am, Dexter says, as Rudy says they can take this journey together. I can't. Not Deb. I'm very fond of her. You can't be a killer and a hero. Dexter stops Rudy from stabbing him, and the two fight. Rudy runs off as the cops arrive. Dokes breaks a lock and makes it in through a side entrance. They notice he's escaped through a tunnel. EMT asks Deb how she feels, and she has to go to the hospital. It's procedure. Doak says he's going to request an immediate suspension when they get back, and Deb snaps and is furious, saying he saved her life. Dexter rides in the ambulance with Deb, and he helps her take the ring off her finger. Deb asks if you think he'll try it again. Deb says she isn't staying in the hospital, but he says, let's wait and see what the doctor says. Why me, Dex? Why'd he choose me? She cries and he holds her. I was so scared, she cries. Dad would be so proud. All right, Brian, next set of scenes, what do you think?
I don't have a lot on this one, but Brian telling Dexter he got the house for him, and then Dexter pausing and saying, I'm more of an apartment person. That had vibes from last episode where he told Deb that it wasn't a T-bone. It just made me laugh. This motherfucker. It was great dialogue, though, with Brian talking to Dex. I mean, I think that it was Christian Carmago's best performance of the season as Brian. Definitely his most believable one. I'll tell you what, though. Brian was very close to this entire thing going exactly like you wanted and envisioned. And, you know, the two of them becoming this Batman and Robin of serial killing. All he had to do was not get Deb. Like, literally, that's the only place he fucked up. Dexter would have 100% been on board with this. They'd have been killing people for the rest of the series, probably. But he fucked up when he got Deb. But not a whole lot on this set of scenes. That's all I had.
All right, Pascal not really being an asshole is a good call and all, but I hate two-faced motherfuckers like that. Don't play nice behind closed doors and belittle me in public. Fuck that. Solid stuff with Rudy and Dexter talking at the table, but I would have had to have asked how Rudy figured out Dexter was the way he is, because if Rudy can figure it out, the cops sure as shit can. Dokes already has a hard-on for catching him, and he doesn't even know anything about Dexter's hobbies. Tension on max when the cops show up as Dexter's struggling with Rudy. Rudy needs to die before he tells Dexter a secret. That's all I could think about during that scene. And then a bold lie from Dexter, though. The cops would be able to see if Rudy called Dexter. That's not the best play, bud. Make something else up. But I'm excited for the finish.
Yeah.
Here we go. Paul calls Rita again, asking if Dexter is acting weird. He wants her to look for a shoe. Could be in the kitchen or the backyard. He thinks his ankle got bruised from being dragged outside. Rita hangs up on him. Dexter questions what he's done, pushing away a real brother for a fake sister. Doctor tells him it's his choice. He can go home or stay here tonight. Dexter tells Deb the sheets are clean and he'll crash on the couch tonight, but they'll have to have a talk about a long-term plan. Someone watches Dexter through the window as he goes to lay on the couch. Rudy breaks into Dexter's place, hovering Dexter until he goes into the room with Deb. He stabs her until he realizes it's prosthetics. Dexter chokes him from behind until he passes out. We see Dexter in Rudy's lab now with Rudy attached to the gurney. Dexter apologized, saying, "You weren't supposed to wake up." The two converse, Dexter saying he struggled to find the flatware since all of his knives were taken. Rudy asks why should he be taken down. Because of your code? The safety of my sister. Dexter tells Rudy, "You know this isn't easy for me." This whole conversation between the two is really interesting. Dexter tells him he's only one he's ever wanted to set free. "You're the one who needs to be set free, little brother." Dexter slits his throat and leans the bed back so his blood will drain below. Dexter is visibly shaken from the incident. The police find him dead, and Masuka points out it's a clear suicide. By taking his own life, he prevented us from catching him. "I don't care," Masuka says. "I'm just glad he's dead." Dexter arrives at Rita's with coffee, and they hug. She asks, "How's Deborah?" She must be a mess falling for a serial killer. Irony. She asks if he's all right. He says no. I've been through a lot lately. I could use a little more time with you and the kids." The two kiss, and she says, "Next time, you let me know what's going on." He tells her he can be better about that. He walks out to his car and sees Dokes is spying on him, knowing he's hiding something. Rita takes the trash out, which Dexter should have done, be a man, and sees a single boot by the trash can. Deb is on a crime scene as Dexter continues narrating. Dexter is celebrated by the media with confetti and plane messages as the episode ends. What do you think, Brian?
Man, that boot wouldn't still be there, but whatever. To be fair, I was getting this season and this finale confused with another one that involved Dokes. So I was, let's just say without spoiling anything, pleasantly surprised when it turned out to not be the way that this finale went down. I kept being like, how do they get from this place to this place? Oh shit, that's not this season. Okay, good. And I feel like I said this recently. Was it about an earlier episode of this when I said, like, how the fuck are they letting her go home after being in the hospital when she's literally a kidnapping victim? Thankfully, they, ended up not doing that here. But in my defense, they did say she could go home, which was crazy to me. Plus, Dexter not being under police surveillance, definitely, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit there for me anyway. And I complimented Christian's performance, but Michael C. Hall's performance, while he has Baini on the table, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, you can see the conflict he plays so well with it being like his brother and what he knows he has to do. Fun fact, contrary to how Brian is killed here by Dexter, the novel has LaGuerta confronting Dexter and Brian in the shipping container, ultimately ending with Brian shooting LaGuerta and being allowed to escape by Dexter. So anyway, great ending. Having Masuka rebut LaGuerta's comments about Brian's suicide being poetic with retarded. He's dead. God, that cracked me up so hard. Fantastic fucking season. Nearly perfect all around episode.
So Paul calling Rita, look, he's right. But there's no way that the super careful and meticulous Dexter would leave behind a victim's shoe. Even if he was in a hurry, he would have noticed it. Great swerve how Dexter pulled the blinds too and left a clear view of quote-unquote Deb in bed through it. Great way to lure Rudy inside. I don't buy how Dexter took Rudy to his own apartment. Like, that place would be crawling with cops. Be for real. Not buying it. Really good shit with Dexter battling emotion and doubt before and after he killed Rudy. Brilliant move by Dexter to make it look like a suicide. Look, if anyone knows how to stage it and make it look legit, it would be Dexter, a forensics expert. Doakes following Dexter around is a real inconvenience. Like, how's he supposed to kill now? And then Rita finding Paul's shoe. I mean, I already said I don't like that. That's not like Dexter. He would have noticed that Paul was missing a shoe, and he would have found it before she did. Yeah. Pretty funny seeing Dexter fantasizing a celebration for him. I like that scene. I laughed. Look, it's a pretty solid finale to a damn good season.
Yeah, for sure.
Y'all guys got any fun facts?
Yeah, I do have two. According to the flashbacks, Rudy Bryan is supposed to be 4 years older than Dexter. In real life, Christian Carmago is actually 4 months younger than Michael C. Hall. And a little goof at the end of the episode when Dexter flips the switch, sending Rudy / Bryan upside down, the tube pumping blood out of his neck is clearly visible to the left side, running up the metal frame and out the back right side. So even a piece of black gaffer's tape is seen in the second / final shot stuck to Rudy's chin. So just a little slip up there.
All right, Dustin, this was your series pick. You want to jump into our rating?
Yeah, let's do it. So I told you I gave episode 11 a 10. I gave episode 12 a 9.5. I mentioned a few things that I didn't like about that last episode, like reaches in logic or inconsistencies that just hindered it a little bit. But I gave it a 9.5. It brings my total score for the season to a 9.375. It seems unlikely that Harry wouldn't adopt Brian as well. Like, I don't understand that logic. But it worked out because it gave us a fantastic season.
For sure. I'll go next, Brian.
Okay.
I thought this season had some really, really good highlight episodes that really caught your attention. But I did have some issues in the beginning and throughout with some tonal issues. Just like what kind of show are they trying to make? But it's quirky. It's dark. I did think like episode 9 last week was like kind of a big letdown after 7 and 8. But for the season in whole, for my first season of Dexter, which I know we're going to do more, I'm excited for. I'm going to give the season as a whole an 8.
I just kind of looking back to my ratings on all the shows that we've done, man, I scored them all pretty high. I hit a little bit of a low point with a 7 the last, with American Horror Story 84 that we did. But I got to go back high on this one, and I got to give this one a 9.
Okay. So that gives us a composite score of 8.79166667. IMDb, if you take the scores of all the episodes of season 1 and average them, it gives us an 8.73. So we're right there with them.
Wow, that's
damn near
incredible.
right on it.
That's incredible.
I enjoyed it. It was really good. Y'all got any final thoughts on Dexter season 1 before Brian announces what his series review is going to be?
Nah, go
I
for
do not.
it.
Great pick.
Michael C. Hall was cool. Dexter is a really cool character. I'm excited for the next season. Brian, do you want to announce your series pick that we're going to be starting?
I think we've all pretty much liked all of our picks so far. Eventually, I think we're going to get to one where somebody doesn't like it. I think, if I'm going to guess, based on what we've kind of said, I think True Blood, when I get to that, will be one of those that both of y'all or either one of y'all do not like, at least the first season. But I did not go that route anyway. I brought it up because I thought about it. I thought about a bunch of different shows. But I'm going to go with Black Mirror. And obviously there's a ton of episodes, more than we could do in one little thing. But yet each season's like, some are 6 episodes, some are 4, so it's kind of crazy. So I'm just going to pick 10 episodes, and we're going to cover just those 10 episodes of Black Mirror. We got to talk about how we're going to rate it, though, because each episode is different. It's an anthology, so I don't know whether we're going to rate each episode like Dustin does on the regular, or how we're going to do that.
So that's what I'm going to do. Since they're all different and separate, I'm just going to rate each episode.
Okay, and then maybe we just average them all together for the composite there at the end. But Black Mirror.
I'm excited. I have no clue what I'm getting myself into, which is one of my favorite things about this show is doing things we haven't done. Shout out to our blood donors. We really appreciate y'all. Shout out to Dustin. I really enjoyed Dexter. You got to make up a few episodes considering The Walking Dead was only 6 episodes for the first one.
Yeah.
I'm excited to start Black Mirror next week. Y'all have a good one.
All rise, motherfucker.
Hard eyes, motherfucker.
Thick thighs, motherfucker. Shotty by plies, motherfucker.
Just want to remind everybody,